Philadelphia. I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. This is the Anthony Gargano Show. It's a nice trade deadline Monday. All kinds of action over the weekend. We got lots to get to. The Anthony Gargano Show presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out TrueMark.com/PHLY or stop at your local branch to learn more about the credit union difference at TrueMark Financial today. Well, couple pretty wild weekend. On Friday, once we were leaving, Friday afternoon, the Phillies got the right-handed bat. Austin Hayes comes. So it was an interesting deal because they didn't go with prospects. You got Sir Anthony, and you knew that the bullpen piece would come later. That did. That came the next day. But Austin Hayes, I think that's a good upgrade in that he mashes lefties. So you got the right-handed bat. There was a bit of a hole in the outfield. He's used to platooning in Baltimore. Baltimore's got a glut of outfielders. And so he played a lot situationally, platoon situations, where he was, lefties on the mound and Austin Hayes was in the lineup. So you get Austin Hayes, and then you come back with Carlos Estevez. You get the back-end closer from the Angels. He throws 97, right? You paid it a pretty steep price. Samuel Algigeri, who was the pitching prospect who had moved up to Double-A, and George Clausen, another pitching prospect, and you get him. Estevez is a rental, right? He's up at the end of the year, but you desperately needed backhand bullpen help. And the minute you traded Sir Anthony, that they were going to go after a righty. So now you look at it, and in leverage situations, the Phillies look pretty good. I like the way the bullpen looks right now because you got Estevez, who can close, high leverage. Hoffman, who has been a godsend, who can close in high leverage situations. And you got Kerkering. Kerkering hit a little bit of a wall, a little slumping a little bit. But you got, three quality right-handers. And then your lefties, obviously Alvarado and Strom are your high leverage lefties. Soto comes in the mix a little bit earlier. But, the bullpen looks good. Soto worries me a little bit. Kerkering has to get through what he's doing. But overall, Estevez is exactly what you needed. You needed a back-end arm that you could trust going forward. The rotation with Ranger being on the injured list, the rotation appears a little thin, except the great story. Now, Phil's lose 2 or 3 to Cleveland over the weekend, but the great story was Tyler Phillips on Saturday. What a great story, right? Here this kid is, Bishop Eustace, right, from South Jersey, loves the Phillies his whole life, huge Phillies fan. His father and his father's friend, who's like a family uncle, at the game, right? They would take him to the game. In fact, he made mention that at the Doc Halladay no-hitter, the playoff game against the Reds, he got X'd out because his father brought his buddy, who's like his uncle. Great stuff, just stuff you can't imagine. He goes a full, complete game, is just juiced up. I know my man VG was excited, especially with the 2 strikeouts in the ninth. It was one of those deals where you saw him and, the ovation, the crowd, hometown. That's what you get with baseball. The beauty of that sport is you go and, you have a hometown kid who loves the team, and there he is on a Saturday in July before all the friends and family, and he's pitching a gem, right? And really, it was an important game because you needed to win. They lost 2 or 3, right? So you needed to win that game. So it was a good outing by Phillips, and that sets the stage for the Yankees. So Phil's scuffling, right? 4 straight series. they've lost dating back to Oakland before the All-Star break. So you're going to have to start to kick it in gear a little bit. The Yankees come in. It's good. It's a great series. You look at it, and they got your 3 horses on the mound. Tonight it's Wheeler versus Gill, a great pitching matchup. Nola goes on Tuesday, and it's Wednesday's a day game, 12:35 game, and Sanchez will go on Wednesday. So Phillies, Yankees, this is a treat, right? The Yankees, the storied franchise, just a couple hours away, the whole thing. And remember, we've gone through this before. The history, the old heads were really American League because of the Philadelphia A's. And then when the A's left, there was a lot of people that liked the Yankees from that era. I know my father was like teetering until the Phillies kind of come into during our generation. So it'll be fun. Phillies, Yankees, and I like what they did with the trade deadline. Trade deadline tomorrow, right? So we'll see. Dombrowski said they're pretty much intact. So I don't foresee much. I mean, you can look at the roster and you can see it, right? Maybe another rotation arm, but I think they're pretty much done. And I kind of like where they're at. Coming up at 10:20, we'll talk to Rubén Amaro. And I love it because Rube presided over these trade deadlines. And, he pulled the Cliff Lee deal. I want to find out about that stuff. So in addition to kind of how he handicaps the Phillies the rest of the year and when he looks at this roster, I'm curious to see, how do these trade deadlines materialize? Like this, we'll go inside the curtain a little bit. At 10:05, we got our training camp report. Zach Berman will join us. It was a fun weekend. NFL Network did we're back over the weekend. So there was a ton of coverage from camps all over the place. Baldy was all over. We were talking. He was in the Jets, and Mike Garafolo was with the Birds on Saturday. His takeaway is that Jalen Hurts looks loose, looks a lot looser than he did last year. So, there's not a lot to read early in camp. I haven't even put the pads on yet. So, but it's a good thing that Jalen appears loose. We got all that stuff. Good morning, VG. Violations, Greg Caputo.
Good morning, cuz. Yeah, I kind of checked out on the Eagles a bit over the weekend, so I'm ready to get back at it with Zach today. I'm all in on this deadline moves Friday all weekend, and I don't know. I don't trust Dombrowski. I think he's playing it coy right now. I think he might have another move. He saved those prospects and stuff.
What? When you look at it, what is it? I don't think it's another starter unless Ranger is worse than that. But remember, you got. I just don't see.
You don't see them in on crochet talks.
Nah, Crochet is an interesting kind of prospect because he's young. He wants to get paid, and they treat him with kid gloves. Like he's not really. He's only going 3 and 4 innings.
Yeah.
So I don't think that helps. I mean, listen, I think the kid's good.
Yeah.
But I don't think that helps you now, right? If you're thinking about, I need a horse, all right, that's different. He's not that.
No. I'll tell you one move that intrigues me, because he's a Phillies killer. Josh Bell. He got put on waivers, and he's expensive. He's $16 million this year, but I might claim him for the rest of the year. He gives you some pop from both sides. They don't really have much pop off the bench on the left side.
You're right.
He's got like 9 home runs from the left side.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's always clutch, I feel like.
Well, what spot does he take? Because that's the I keep looking at this thing, right? And I look at the roster, and I don't see an ad.
But do they have a roster spot? They lost 2 in the trade. I guess they don't.
They don't.
Now.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, who are you replacing, right? Because you still need defense, and that's where Rojas comes.
Yeah, I'm just dreaming, I guess.
I mean, listen, I get it. It's another bat. We all love bats off the bench, right? Like that.
And it's
so important to have a pinch hitter off the bench, like guys you trust.
Yeah, I think I have PTSD with Josh Bell too, just because he's hit so many bombs against us.
I know.
And they hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big loss losing the Paisan Aldigiri.
I know, Samuel Aldigiri.
So bittersweet
Yeah,
getting the arm.
Well, we were joking in-house, right? We love Aldigiri. He's the kid that's from Verona, Italy.
Yeah.
Right. And so we had been planning all summer to go and sit with him and watch him pitch. And then I was going to write a big story on him, the whole thing.
Yeah. Go get some pasta with him.
Right. And then that's gone.
Gone.
Well, listen, they needed a backhand big time thrower. And he's that guy. Like Estevez, brings it from the right side.
And people were saying the price was a little steep, but I think it's an arms race right now with the bullpen.
Yes, it is.
There's so many contenders. Everyone's looking for bullpen help. The Phillies traded two top 20 prospects. The Padres the next day, they grabbed Jason Adam off the Rays. They traded 3 top 15 prospects for this arm. It's just the price it is out there right now.
Well, and look, you needed to do that. Like, you had to do that. And you still protect your top core.
Mm-hmm.
So, listen, I like the trade. I think it's good. And I think you needed another. Sir Anthony wasn't getting it done, right?
No.
And you needed another high leverage guy. And you needed the right hander because you got Alvarado and Strahm. And you got Hoffman, right? Kerkering wasn't giving you. Is a guy. I love his stuff, and I think down the line it's going to be fine. But you need someone more dependable.
Did you see about his tipping, Kerkering? So he thinks he's fixed the tipping. Hopefully that's what it was. Because they seem to be clued in on him for something.
Yeah, you need someone that we've seen the lessons of the bullpen over the last 2 Octobers.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be strong back there.
Yeah,
you got to be strong. So I like doing Estevez.
And you know what we got tonight? We got the Yankees. You know who's throwing out the first pitch?
I didn't say.
Matvey Michkov.
Oh, Michkov! Yeah. I love it.
Flyers action there in the ballpark tonight.
I love it.
Yeah, I wish I was going. I'm going tomorrow, but I'd love to go down there tonight just to cheer the kid on.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So Yankees come in, right? Phillies have been leaking a little bit, as we said. They've lost 4 straight series.
Yeah.
They still have an 8.5 game over Atlanta because Atlanta has been struggling.
Mm-hmm.
The Mets have creeped down. They're like a game and a half behind Atlanta.
Mets.
I know. Interesting. Milwaukee is only 5 games behind the Phillies, and the Dodgers are 2 games behind the Phillies for the best record in the National League.
Yeah. So I wanted to I don't know. It feels like the earth is collapsing upon this Philly season right now with these last 4 series they've lost.
Do you really feel that way?
On social media it does. I don't, but the energy in the city I feel like is like that right now. And I found a thing to put it in perspective. So the top 4 teams in the National League in July. Phillies are 10-11. Not great. Dodgers are 11-11. Brewers are 9-11. And the Braves are 9-12. So everyone's just hitting. Oh, there's a little stat. Julia's auto at the stat. So everyone's kind of slumping right now. They're all in this mediocre thing. I think with the All-Star break, with the trade deadline coming up, I think people are just coasting right now a little bit.
The coast I get, but the panic I don't, because you saw it 10-11. They've lost 4 straight series, but it's not like they're 7-14.
Right.
Like that's a big deal when you think about it. They even though they've lost 4 series, they've lost 2 or 3 each time. It's not like you're getting swept. There's not a big losing streak. You had to come down to earth. That's why, and this is the time to do it. There is a reason why end of July and August there's a malaise.
Mm-hmm.
The season feels long at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the third length before you go into the stretch run.
When the trade deadline comes and everyone's psyched up and geared up for the run. For
right.
The playoffs.
Usually by September is when that starts to kind of amp back up. But they always talk about the dog days of August. Right? I covered the sport, right? So that's a real deal. I remember, even if you're a reporter going on the road with them, you just get fatigued.
Yeah.
You're just oh my God, but the ballpark again. And the players feel that way too. You need that little break mentally so you're not. That's why I hate all the wild cards, because it devalues that thing of having to go through all of July, August when it feels long.
So what's the break though? What cranks them out of it?
Usually like the amp of September.
Okay.
Right? Like, usually
a
that's
little bit of cooler weather, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, it's usually like you kind of feel it a little bit. You start to go, all right, it's around, it's starting to get real. It's hard not to go. People go, 162 every game matters. But mentally, it feels like they run together, especially in July and August. Like you feel like April, you're excited. May, you're excited. The warm weather comes in June, right? So you're feeling good, right? You're 3 months in. Then you get to the All-Star break. You exhale,
right,
and then it starts to feel a little longer. Like, let me gear it back up. So it takes a minute to kind of get it really back up. Mm-hmm. August feels a little long, and then you by the end of August, you're right. The days become shorter. There's a little bit of chill at night, and you start to feel like, all right, here we go. Like September's around the corner. If you're a contending team, that's the mind tricks that you play.
Yeah, I mean, I popped out to the pub yesterday, late afternoon, like 6, 7 o'clock, and everyone's like, not feeling it. They were like pretty dejected about the run the Phillies are on.
Really? That goes back to how we consume baseball. We consume baseball like it's football.
Well, one bartender, if anyone's going to blow it, it's going to be the Phillies.
No, I mean, you can't say that. Right? Like, they're good. They're a good club. They've been a good club. They're not.
I'm just giving you what the people are saying, man.
I know. It frustrates me sometimes because I want them to, to understand that we can't look at it like it's football.
Like, I imagine this person could be a troll in the chat. Big Farts Jones, but he comes in and says, Phils are cooked.
Nah, Big Farts.
Come on, Fartsy.
Come on, Fartsy. They're not cooked. Come on. It's a long season. You got to have that mental acuity. You got it? Fartsy, I love it. Big Farts Jones. That is classic. That is classic. God bless you, buddy. You made us laugh on a Monday. It's fantastic. All right, coming up, VG's Nugs. So it's kind of like newsy of the day, the Nugs. So we'll get to the Nugs. And then the brain for some daily grind. But first, you know what today is? National Chicken Wing Day today.
Nice.
In fact, a little bit later on, Buffalo Wild Wings, our friends at Buffalo Wild Wings, are bringing in these super hot wings.
Oh, boy.
Right? Now, you have stomach issues?
I mean, I don't right now, and I'd like to keep it that way. Yeah, so I try to avoid things like that.
All right, well, I'm going to partake. I'll see what we got. Come celebrate National Chicken Wing Day at Buffalo Wild Wings, where you can enjoy 6 free boneless or traditional wings with any $10 purchase. This offer is valid in stores all day today, July 29th. They are currently offering limited time flavors like Buffalo Ranch, Luau Barbecue. Luau Barbecue sounds good, right? I'm not a ranch guy.
No?
No, I don't like ranch. I don't anything
like with that kind of mayo.
Yeah, I'm out. I can't do that.
Weird.
Yeah. Download our app. Join the Blazing Rewards programs. That's right. The Blazing Rewards program. Let's go Sports Bar. Buffalo Wild Wings. In fact, there's a new one coming in.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, right off
close
of
to me,
Delaware
walking distance.
Yeah, Columbus Boulevard.
Pound some wings and pitchers.
Yeah. It'd be fun. What do you got for us, baby?
Hey, man, I like Rite Aid. Rite Aid with my ladies Ruthie and Margie on Passion Go. I was just there yesterday grabbing some Gatorades. But with a My Pharmacy account at Rite Aid, you can refill your prescriptions, schedule vaccines, get personalized care recommendations, sign up for prescription notifications, and all you need to get started is a prescription at Rite Aid. Get started at riteaid.com/mypharmacy, and you can stop stressing about all your prescriptions. You let Rite Aid fill them automatically. You can enroll in an automatic courtesy refill. It's free, it's easy, and most prescriptions qualify. Talk with your Rite Aid pharmacist or sign up through my pharmacy account at riteaid.com. Restrictions may apply. And the one thing that's cool with this Rite Aid My Pharmacy is you can get all your prescriptions filled in one trip. You can sync it up. All your family members, all your own prescriptions. So one trip once a week instead of popping over 3 or 4 times, even though I do it 3 or 4 times just because I run out of stuff all the time. Toilet paper. Get your prescriptions. You can manage your prescriptions with the Rite Aid mobile app. Transfer or refill your prescriptions. Set up medication reminders. Enroll in prescription notifications. And download the app from your Apple Store or your Google Play Store. Transfer your prescriptions to Rite Aid today. Just go to riteaid.com/transfer. Rite Aid has caring pharmacists ready to answer your questions and help you stay healthy. Get your prescriptions along with anything at Rite Aid you may need, including over-the-counter medicines, household products, cosmetics, and more. Just ask your pharmacy team for details.
You know what? It's funny. You speak like a true city dweller.
Yeah? What'd I say?
Because the true city dweller goes, you go to the store when you need something.
Yeah.
So you just take a walk to the store.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
you take a walk to the market, you take a walk to the store.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
It's like European.
Right.
Yeah.
I believe me, I love that.
Yeah.
I still miss it, right? Suburbs, they go at once. Like,
You gotta
my
go
wife
hop in
has
the car for almost everything.
Yeah. I miss that, dude. Taking a walk,
dude,
I miss it.
I'm not a big fan of driving, so I love walking.
I hate driving too. I'm the same way. I'm exactly the same way. All right, let's get to some nugs. VG's nugs.
All right, we got some nugs. Some nugs to put you in perspective of the Phillies, calm you down maybe. We got some good Olympics this weekend happening.
Yeah, give us some
so
all the stuff, the news of the day, fill us in.
We talked Phillies have lost 4 straight series, but in those 11 or 16 days, they've increased their NL East lead by 1 game. So everyone just
Look at that.
Right,
Now that's a nug.
Yeah, man. Everything's okay. It's going to be
Come
just
on, big
fine.
farts.
Well, fartsy. Hey, you always read about these lefty, righty matchups and how it's the advantage for the pitchers often. They put up on the game yesterday Schwarber's stats versus left-handed pitching. Did you see it?
I saw it.
He ranks number 1 in everything.
Yeah, I saw it.
Average, home run, on base percentage,
Well,
OPS.
by the way, so that kid's not bad, right? Who threw for Cleveland yesterday? He's a young kid they brought up. He's a lefty, and you saw to lead off the game, like both the home runs were just beautiful, like bat head out, right, and like just yanks him.
Yeah,
I mean, there was just he's amazing.
He's such an anomaly, like a weird player, right?
He is. He's so strange. Like the whole thing's strange. The fact that he hits leadoff is just insane, right? But it works.
I couldn't, but first in everything. Like, that's wild. I don't know.
Seeing the ball, I guess it's like how you see it from that side.
Yeah.
Charlie used to say, like, you got to have, like, so if you're a lefty, you need a strong right eye, right?
Yeah?
Yeah. And Charlie was, because Charlie was a lefty. And, like, he would always.
Is he working out his eye?
Yeah, he would talk about the importance of the right eye.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Because that's your eye where you're seeing it.
I've seen there's yoga for eyes. I mean, it's strengthen up the retina and stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I got to do that.
Just some eye yoga.
I'm doing eye yoga.
Not so much good news with the Phils. Since the All-Star break with runners in scoring position, they are 11-55, which is 200.
That makes sense. Because it feels
like there's people on base all the time,
right?
Yes.
And you go, man, they should be scoring a ton more runs.
A ton, right. And we'll just continue with one other nug that's not great. Alvarado in his last 9 appearances. Where do you think his ERA sits?
5 and change.
Up.
Oh, God.
8.64 in his last 9 appearances.
8.64.
5 strikeouts, 8 walks. Not great.
That's terrible.
Yeah. They got to fix him.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's such a weapon when he's throwing well.
Yeah.
He's such a weapon.
And when he's throwing well, he's going well. He comes in with some swagger. He's got his song.
Yeah. He doesn't. He's lost that. You can see it.
Yeah. Even in the post game, they're like the 1 home run. He just was bewildered because he said it was so far inside. He doesn't know how the guy turned on it so quick.
Well, that's the thing. He's not. His velo's down. Yeah. Like because when he's cranking it, it's you can't that inside pitch. There's no way in the world you could turn on that.
You wouldn't think. Yeah. You like big pitchers.
I love big.
The new guy. You know how much he weighs?
How big?
We'll put it this way. There's a list came out of the heaviest players in Major League Baseball by team, and the Phillies are now tied for fourth heaviest player. Carlos Estevez stands at 6'6", and he weighs 277 pounds.
That's a big boy.
Yeah, so Aaron Judge is only 282 to put that in perspective.
Wow.
That's our pitcher.
Wow, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah. I love the big monster thrower.
277.
277 is awesome. Are you kidding me?
He's heavier than Lance Lynn by like 4 pounds, and that guy broke a belt earlier this year.
He could play line for the Eagles.
Yeah, he's probably heavier than some of the linemen.
Yeah.
Ohtani continues on with his amazing season. It's only June. This guy's got 32 home runs and 27 stolen bases.
Yeah, the steals
Just makes no sense.
The steals are ridiculous.
He's not even pitching yet.
It's he's unbelievable. He goes 40-40.
Yeah.
He's going to go
yes.
40-40.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is.
When you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, he's unlike anything I've never seen anything like it. When you put it into perspective that he's also a top 10 pitcher.
I'm a box score nerd, and it feels like he hits a home run every other game.
Yeah, I mean, I have him in fantasy. I feel like he hits a home run every game.
And yesterday, I think I was looking at the box score. I think he had a steal yesterday.
Yeah,
I
mean, speaking of steals, Ellie De La Cruz, I think he had 4 or 5 stolen bases yesterday. He was like 3 for 4 with 5 stolen bases. Yeah, and they still lost.
And I know. They're in last place, and there's a
lot of talent on that team. I thought there was going into the Reds. Yeah, they're underachieving. Speaking of underachieving, good news. He's not even on this continent anymore. Furkan has signed with AS Monaco in some European league.
The Korkmaz in
Good
Monaco.
riddance to that guy. I could never stand him. He had a little bit of a fan base here. I had Jamie, the bro, was a Furkan
the bro
guy.
loved Furkan.
Yeah. I'm glad he's off this continent.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. He should drive me nuts. Remember that one year they go in, he was your backup point guard.
I don't even remember. I must have blocked that out.
Yeah. It was like, what are you serious? Yes. Guy who never played point in his life, who, by the way, should never play point in his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, he was such one of these dudes that you would cringe because he would have those games against some bad team, right? Charlotte, and hit 6 threes and give you like 25. And then the next 2 weeks, he'd shoot 1 for 18.
Right. On My Own Yam Snow says he sees Furkan down selling T-shirts down in Wildwood.
Yeah.
Hey, this is a story that really warms my heart. Someone broke down Major League Baseball stadiums, and if they're closer to a liquor store, a church, or a marijuana dispensary.
Wow.
And there's 8 teams closest to a marijuana dispensary, and Citizens Bank Park, and the Phillies are one of them, baby.
What was the This is
There's
awesome.
a dispensary right at 3rd and Packer.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, what's the criteria?
Like miles, like feet. How close you are.
This is how the proximity.
Yeah, proximity to a liquor store, a cannabis marijuana dispensary, or a church.
Wow.
And we're one of 8 that are closest to cannabis.
Look at that.
Yeah. So all you Green fans out there, we got a good stadium.
That's
location.
You, baby. That's you. Somewhere Tooch is watching and laughing, going,
Chooch is having a bowl?
No. Of course, he's like, VG, of course, would have that.
Yeah. I mean, anytime that. I think I have notifications for cannabis nugs. Dude. I was so geeked out with the Olympics this weekend, and I didn't even really watch most of men's basketball. Saturday morning, I was glued to women's street skateboarding, where they do like the railings and the grinds and stuff. I watched that for like 4 hours. It was amazing stuff. But I saw also the first U.S. gold medal, the men's 100 by 4 by 100 meters. These guys smoked the Aussies were supposed to be the main competitors.
Right.
Smoked them by like 2 body lengths. They came out and dominated. These guys are a force. And you know what I realized? They're pretty jacked. All the swimmers are jacked now.
Oh,
they used to be super lean.
Nah, they're jacked now. Yeah.
They're big, muscly dudes.
I like watching swimming.
Yeah.
The swimming of the track and field and swimming you like because you're always playing against the time, right? In your mind, aren't you? All right, well, how fast can they go? How fast can they,
You know what's cool? The swimming now, I don't remember it happening in the last Summer Olympics, but so they'll have, like, if you're in first place, they have a tail behind them, like a block, that tells you how many meters per second they're swimming, so you can see if someone's gaining or not and how quick. Yeah,
it's all. It really is good. It's interesting. It's all get out.
Yeah.
Are you a good swimmer?
No, I am not a good swimmer at all. Yeah, you?
I mean, I'm all right. I'm not.
I can't. I have
Phelps.
No, I can get from one side of the pool to the other.
Yeah,
anything longer than that, I'm dead. I don't know how to tread water. I'm fascinated by water polo. Those people tread water for like an hour while they're wrestling, throwing headlocks, and their feet never touch the bottom.
I know, that's unbelievable. You know how strong you got to be to tread water that long?
No,
like it's impressive.
Women's gymnast Simone Biles and the crew dominated the qualifiers yesterday, so they should cruise in. And dude, I slacked on sending a picture of this to Julia, but I got it now. A woman on the U.S. woman on the U.S. water polo team had complained about how they don't have any real support and how much work it is. They have a full-time job. They don't really get paid or any recognition. So that reached a special person. Flavor Flav saw this woman. And he is now the biggest hype man for the U.S. women's polo
Flavor
team.
Flav?
Yes.
He's a water polo
He's
man?
the hype man. He has been swimming with them. He's at every match. He's promised them if they come back with their fourth gold, because they have 3, he's getting them all, like the clocks he wears around his neck. He's buying them all their own clocks.
Dude, that's so genius, right? That's so genius that he takes the least... right, publicize something, and being the great hype man that he is, he goes, I'll lend my. That's a great brand.
He's in the crowd.
Like, to be
he's got a cap, like the swimmer's cap on. He's got a basketball jersey that says like U.S. women's water polo on it. He is like all in on this.
That's fabulous.
We'll try and get a photo later.
I like that. I like that.
And dude, South Korea drama in archery. South Korea's won the last.
Only VG gives me South Korea
women's
drama
archery.
Women's archery.
Yeah, so they've won like the last 10 gold medals. They're scary. They come out with like their faces painted white. They dress in all white and they wear their faces painted white while they shoot. So they get into a tie with China and they get a free shootout thing. And it comes down. The picture on the right, I think there's one more picture with a close-up. The judge has to come out with a magnifying glass to see if the South Korea arrow, there's the judge with the magnifying glass, is in the 9 or the 10 zone.
Wow, look at that.
And rules it's in the 10 zone and South Korea wins the gold.
Are you serious? That's
magnifying
awesome.
glass.
That's
It's like a magnifying glass we got in a comic book from like 1975. Look at that magnifying glass.
Looks like Sherlock Holmes. Are you kidding me? That's like me playing darts. In the bar, you remember the bar? Like the darts was always a great bar game.
Yeah,
and we would play
dangerous.
We would play baseball.
Oh yeah,
you ever play baseball? For like you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There would be innings.
Yeah,
and if you hit a bullseye, it was 4 runs, and the skinny red was the triple. The other one, the thicker one, was a double, and then if you got it in the one thing, it's 1 run.
All right. Yeah, I never played much darts. I'm not good at it. I've never been good at it. Yeah. But wait, whoa. That's more of a flick. You're not throwing. You don't do anything that's a fling or a flick. And you flick dart.
I guess you do flick it. You throw it, though, dude.
It's a bit of a fling.
It's not a all-out throw, but you throw it. This is a fling.
All right.
Mr. Frisbee. This is a fling. I don't go this way. You got to go this way.
All right. So I have to give props to Andrew and JP. So we got a little soccer nug.
Oh, God.
U.S. women's team dominated Germany yesterday.
They're unbelievable.
And the winner of the last gold medals has either been USA or Germany. So the U.S. women's.
They're unbelievable how good they are.
Sophia Smith with 2 goals. They routed Germany.
You know what's nuts is how good our women's team became. Yeah. Right? Like,
it's wild.
Dominate. Like, the men's can't do anything, right?
No.
They stink, right? Like the whole thing. The women's team they just dominate. All these old European soccer countries,
yes,
the whole world, right, with soccer, and our women dominate them.
Yeah, and I think basketball too, right? Yeah.
Basketball you expect though.
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect women's soccer to be dominant.
Yeah, you're right because basketball is our sport, kind of.
Yeah, it's definitely our sport.
All right, we got one more. Bobby the cap catcher. You hear this guy's story?
No.
So the water polo women team, they wear multiple caps. And one of the caps fell off during gameplay. I guess they were wrestling. So they had to get a worker at the arena to go out and get the cap at the bottom of the pool. And they don't have like a skimmer or anything to reach in. This poor guy's got to put on a bathing suit. He's around all these professional swimmers and water polo people.
Why can't they just go get the cap?
I don't know. But this dude comes out in a dad bod in a bikini to dive in and get the cap at the bottom. And the crowd goes nuts at the end of it. Support him. We have a video, I think. Look at his body, dude.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Well, we've got the
That's a horrible
timer ready to
walk
go in and get
I
it.
mean, look at that right there. Is there anything better on the
All
pool
these
deck other than that
perfectly
Speedo
safe
right
swimmers
there?
And
watching
again,
them.
for those that don't always watch swimming, Emma Webber may have lost a cap.
He
but
does a
she's
real dive here,
wearing
too.
more than one.
Yeah, she's
good
probably got
dive,
another
yeah.
one on under
Listen
there.
to the crowd
They
when he
always wear
he
a
swims
two,
over to the edge of the
sometimes
crowd.
maybe three, depending upon your hair. So she was fine in that event. That's why we didn't notice it right away. She was, oh, there it is. He's got the cap. Now, is Emma going to let him keep the cap? That's the question.
See, does that guy get a name? The cap catcher?
Just like a roaring ovation.
Oh, dude,
what
that's
we need to call him,
awesome.
Bob, the cap catcher. I like
Call him
that.
Bobby the
cap
cap
catcher.
catcher.
Ladies Olympic.
What?
I don't know why someone couldn't just swim in the pool.
Like, why can't one of those be? They're in the pool.
Right.
We got to get this guy come out of
This
the
guy's
pool.
gotta go get dressed.
Put his panties on and go down there.
He put his panties on.
Cool, bro.
Yeah.
By the way, what happened to trunks? You can't wear trunks.
I don't know, man. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to wear the trunks.
Yeah. They're a nice floral pattern.
That's
Little
it. That's
skivvies he's wearing.
That's it. This portion of the program is brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. That's right. Download it today. We got a lot of fun coming up because it's Phillies and Yankees. Time now for the brain.
Brain. Red the Brain Finder.
Good morning, Brain.
Good morning, Anthony. How are you today?
We're doing.
Oh, that color looks
We're
good
doing
on
good.
the
Yeah,
brain.
you look good. I like that color.
A little salmon action, you know?
Yeah. Look. Well, you're down the shore. The salmon
Yeah,
goes
exactly.
well. I'm a fan of the salmon.
Yeah, it's not a bad look. Every now and then I'll whip it out.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Deadline, a lot of movement. How's that changed the futures when it comes to MLB?
Well, look, obviously the Yankees made so far the biggest move in getting Jazz Chisholm. Obviously, that's going to lower their odds. He'll probably be the best hitter in my opinion to change in this trading season. And look, the Phillies obviously adding Estevez, but that's not going to move the needle in terms of a betting standpoint at all. The Cubs added Paredes, but obviously the Cubs really not in contention. Here, I think, Anthony, the biggest move will be more than Jazz Chisholm, more than anyone, in my 2 cents, will be whoever gets Jack Flaherty. The guy's we know, Anthony, Jack Flaherty at one point was considered to be, I'm not going to say Paul Skeens, that would be disingenuous, but when he was a young pitcher before he had his arm issues, he was the young Cy Young kind of guy that people are talking about as to be the next stud. And he was an elite starting pitcher for St. Louis. He's had a ton of arm injuries since. Look, you got to give the Tigers credit. They took a chance on him, and he's been right up there with Skubal as the best pitcher in the American League. They've probably been the two best pitchers, actually, in the American League. He is a free agent at the end of the year. He's not going now. He's getting a huge payday. Tigers are going to capitalize. I'm very interested to see where he goes because I think him, more than any other player, can move the needle.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you're getting a top end of the rotation type of starter. So a number 2 guy that could slot in really nicely wherever wherever you're at. I'd be interested, especially if he goes to the National League, where even though there's interleague play, when you switch leagues like that, I'm still, there's not the big book on you. So
sure.
I'm curious to see where he goes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you look at it like I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious myself. Now, will a team like the Mets that has been putting all their things for future, now they're playing well. They got unlucky, Anthony. You got to say that Senga comes back. Senga, for people who don't realize, that guy last year was as a Cy Young kind of guy. Comes back his first start after being out all year, looks incredibly dominant, 9 strikeouts in 5 innings, gives up only 2 hits, looks like just incredible. Then he, on a pop fly, tears his calf muscles out for the season.
Yeah.
Horrible break for New York. You hate seeing that for an athlete getting that. I felt horrible for him. So do they maybe say, all right, Flaherty replaces Senga, but it's going to cost. But maybe they're the kind of team, Anthony, they could say, you know what, Jack, you're going to love it in New York. We want you to see it here. And then we're going to try to re-sign you in the offseason because we can afford you. Cohen being the owner of the team, one of the few teams could actually say, we can actually get, meet your asking price. So that'd be a team I would look at that would maybe take a chance on him.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right about that. Like, when you think about the Mets, they're playing well. They're back in it. They're only a game and a half behind Atlanta. So,
Crazy.
It is crazy. So that would make sense. And they can afford to sign him, which is the big deal.
Correct. Yeah. And again, it's like, listen, like there's anything in life. Like, if he goes there for 2 months and he has success, likes the city, likes the atmosphere, why wouldn't he go back? But if he's never been to New York, it's a lot harder, Anthony. It's a lot harder to commit as a free agent for a 4-year contract if you've never actually played in that city. You don't know what it's going to be like 100%. He played in the Midwest in St. Louis, which was obviously not the Northeast, right? And he's played in the Tigers. He hasn't had to face the media pressure that a Boston, a New York, a Philadelphia has. If he were to go there and say, you know what, I like it, I can handle it, this is for me, as opposed to having to guess, do I really want to do with that? That's why I think if I was New York, I wouldn't mind making a bid for him because I think they actually could make the playoffs easily. And I think it would give them a better chance if they believe in Flaherty and they believe the arm injuries are a thing of the past. Okay, just come here. We're going to show you why we're the best place to play. And that's why.
And their rotation's thin.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They really could use a guy like that. And from their point of view, they say, okay, look, the Phillies and the Braves next year are going to be such behemoths. All right, now if we have Senga and him, at least we have 2 starters that can match like Nola and Wheeler, theoretically. And then you just take it from there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I do think the Yankees getting Jazz Chisholm was a must. It's funny. Did you see, Anthony, what Luis Severino said about the Yankees?
No.
Did you see his comment? He played there obviously many years. He goes, and he actually said the truth. He goes, I look at their lineup because they have 2 good hitters. That's it.
Yeah.
And you know what? They had 2 good hitters. That's really what it was. And now Chisholm's a guy probably a little overrated in the sense that he's not really a star, but he is a player that, kind of back, it reminds me a little bit. Remember Anthony Juan Samuel back in the day?
Sure,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like a guy that could, like a guy that could be an electric kind of player. Was never a superstar, but always was an exciting, very good player.
That's how I played until he was like 49 years old.
Did he? Did he?
Well,
I get it, but yeah, I didn't know
he was like deep into his 40s.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Like Ricky Henderson,
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's pretty cool. But yeah, Juan Samuel was a good player, and Jazz Chisholm is a good player as well. I think the Yankees can use.
He could bat leadoff for you because they don't have a leadoff hitter. They tried Volpe. They've tried. They went through.
Verdugo even tried a little bit, but yeah, and now look when you have Soto, and also whoever gets leadoff for that team should be like, thank you, because Juan Soto is sitting second, right?
Right.
So right off the bat, you're like, all right, I'm not walking you. You're getting strikes because I have to face Soto second. So to me, hitting leadoff for the Yankees is a gift, okay, an absolute gift. So I really think that team was struggling. Now, Anthony, we saw San Diego had won, I think, 8 or 9 in a row, just almost sweep Baltimore. Baltimore is leaking oil a little bit. Baltimore, they're not hitting. And Anthony, they keep – it reminds me so much of the Phillies last year when they just kept throwing out Craig Kimbrell. Well, Baltimore just keeps throwing out Craig Kimbrell and he keeps blowing every game. These are the things that frustrate me. It's just, as you say, Anthony, like as a sportsman, as a fan, I see a team like Baltimore, great young team, best farm system, on the path for everything, and they refuse to address the bullpen. It's like they're saying, we don't care about you as players. You know what? We'll throw away this year. They're not going to win if they keep throwing out Craig Kimbrell. I just don't get it.
Dude, I feel you. I don't know. Sometimes I just get mystified too. Like I look at it and go, what are you guys doing? And now
what are you doing?
Permeated kind of that team. Like there's a lot of panic. Like for some reason, we have a bit of a negative attitude in Philadelphia. Obviously, Phillies have lost 4 straight series, but they're, like VG pointed this out, they're 10-11 during that period of time. It's not like they're 7-14 or 6-15, right? They're 10-11. I mean,
And by the way, Anthony,
that's no big deal.
2 of those losses were like very, what's the word I'm looking for? Fluky. Like they were beating the Pirates 7-4 in the 8th inning. They were beating the Twins 4-1 in the 8th inning, and Marsh misplayed the fly ball.
Yeah.
That 10-11 goes to 12-9. You take 12-9, and that's a pace of winning about 95 games as opposed to winning 80 games. So just that. Just think about that. If they're 12-9, you times 12, that's about 12 times 8, that's a 96 win pace over 100, well, about 168 game season. But point being is just those 2 things where they have these 3-run leads late, you wouldn't be saying anything. Or I don't mean you, I mean anyone wouldn't be saying anything. It's just a little thing like that. And those were 2 fluky things. But actually, listen, I give Dombrowski credit, Anthony. It's not easy to give up these prospects a lot. You treat them like because I do these fantasy leagues, you treat them like your kids, and you tend to overrate them. You always people tend to overrate the unknown. I'm telling you, if someone offers you there's a lottery ticket, and someone, here's $50 or take this lottery ticket. A lot of times they'll just take the lottery ticket. Maybe it's worth $1,000. They don't know, but they don't take the sure thing. To me, I give them credit. I think they needed another bullpen arm. I do. I think Hoffman's and Strom, yeah, but why not get another good guy? Why not have these games?
Another right-handed leverage guy, right? So
yes.
You look at it. You're right. You got Hoffman. You got Kirkering, who's been struggling a little bit. So this way, you got Estevez comes in. You have him and Hoffman from the right side, and you got Alvarado and Strom from the left side.
You're deep. Anthony. You're deep, and listen. We know it is. We know the baseball playoffs have become more like the Stanley Cup playoffs. What do I mean by that? It's become much more of a grind. It used to be, Anthony, when we were growing up, Big Red Machine or whatever. That guys would pitch their 8 innings, and there was no taxing of the bullpen.
Because of the wild card. The wild
card changed everything.
Yes, because now all of a sudden you get teams that clinch early, that all of a sudden they're not playing with the same intensity, they're slumping, and 100%. You get bit like the Phillies did in a short series against the Cardinals in 11.
Yeah, that was awful. Yeah, but that's exactly right. And now you need to have as deep of a lineup, as a bullpen lineup, especially as possible, because these things are such specializations, and it's like you're not pitching your starters as many innings as you used to. That's the bottom line. You're not pitching your starters. Now again, Zach Wheeler may pitch his 7 innings. Aaron Nola may pitch 6 innings. But let's be honest, in my opinion, Ranger Suarez in a postseason game and Christopher Sanchez, those guys more likely than not are going to go 5. That's just the way that it is, or less, or less. That's just the way it works. You may not. You're saying now, you're like, how could that be? These guys are pitching so well, but come the postseason, Anthony, the limits they give for these starting pitchers become nothing. So you want as much bullpen depth as possible.
Definitely. All right, I got a football thing I'm going to throw by you and VG. So I was having a debate over the weekend on my Fox show that you come on, Brad, and my partner Jason Fitz. He's a Tua guy, right? I'm not. I've never really been a Tua guy, and I go, listen, it's the cost of doing business. But Tua doesn't, move the needle for me. I love Jordan Love. And we were debating. I said, listen, I think it's a smart move to lock him up. I think he's an elite talent. Meanwhile, Tua, I don't really get. I wouldn't be happy. Like I would always be looking to upgrade if Tua was my quarterback.
Tua to me, and again, once again, we couldn't agree more. We're 100% in sync as usual. When I watch Tua, and I'm not criticizing this, let me make this clear. It's not a criticism. He will throw these like little short passes that he's accurate on, and Hill and Waddle make him raise his IQ, right? If he were to play with average, let's go back. Remember when the Eagles had Todd Pinkston and James Thrash? If Tua were to play with those guys, I think he would put up the worst stats in the league. I think he's 100% dependent on good skill players around him, as opposed to a guy like Josh Allen, who's great regardless. Patrick Mahomes, great regardless. Yes, you put the best receiver group in the room with Tua, sure, he looks good. But if Tua was on many other teams, Anthony, I think you could argue he's below average. I won't even say average. I don't think he's that good.
I agree, VG.
I was amazed at the numbers, but it's just the cost of a quarterback. And it
Exactly.
seems like Mike McDaniel was instrumental in making sure this happened. He wants him as his quarterback.
But that's DG. You're right. It's the cost of doing business.
Like I get you got to sign him, and I understand it. But like the Tua, like I want him.
Yeah. I mean, they do have chemistry. He looks nice throwing those balls to Tyreek.
As long as he stays healthy. But everyone stays. Wait, come on, stop.
If you could throw, you would look nice next to Tyreek Hill. He's the ultimate weapon in the NFL.
Yeah, I get that.
And then you got Waddle.
There's got to be something going on, some kind of chemistry thing or something. But yeah, they don't seem to be interested at all in moving on from Tua.
Yeah,
I have a question for you guys. When does Patrick Mahomes, who's making $40 million a year, $42 million, say there's now 10 guys making 20% more than me? Right. When does he say this is ridiculous? Like I'm making $42 million. Daniel Jones is the great Hall of Famer. Daniel Jones is making 40. Okay. Oh, freaking Tua is making 55. When does he say, you know what? I've given you this discount for 3 years now. I'm getting 70. Or does he just say keep playing the Tom Brady route, saying, you know what? I'm content making $42 million a year, even though I'm only the 15 highest paid quarterback.
Obviously, because of Andy and Spags, I know a lot about Mahomes.
Sure,
they love him. They just love him. Well, he just does all the right things. No, he would. It wouldn't surprise me if he just goes as is because he wants to win. Like he's got that formula. Like it's smart. Because as long as you win and you can help your cap, you're going to make the money elsewhere. He's the number one most endorser. I mean, is there anybody else you want as a pitchman than Patrick Mahomes?
I have two questions for you. Question number one, guys, both you guys individually. If you were Patrick Mahomes and you were obviously known as the consensus best player in the world, and you see Daniel Jones making as much money as me, would you say, guys, listen, you got to bump me 20%. This is ridiculous. Or also, if you were the team, would you say, we see what's happening here, Patrick. The fact that you're not even in the top half of quarterbacks at this point, we just can't allow it to happen. We just feel it's just morally, for lack of a better word, wrong. What would you say? Do you think the team should do something?
If I'm Mahomes, I want to win. And I know that I got marketability to make up for it, right?
Right.
And at some point, I mean, I hate to say this, but what's the difference?
What's enough?
What more do you need?
It's not changing your life.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And winning, it will change your life. Now your legacy.
I mean,
you're down for legacy.
I might put my foot down and say, give me $2 million more, so I'm making more than Kyler Murray.
Right.
I mean, come on.
I mean, yes. Ridiculous. I mean, it's so
Murray.
ridiculous. Listen. Let's be honest, guys. And everyone has at least a certain ego to them. If you're that good, where you're like, listen. I mean, really, Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones. I get it. It's just.
Trevor Lawrence is the highest by average by year, 55 mil. That's nuts.
Well, I think it may be Jordan Love now. It's interesting. I would say this, guys.
Burrow, Love, and Trevor Lawrence, it looks like are all average out to 55 mil a year.
Listen, if I'm Green Bay, I lock up Love.
They did.
With that.
Yeah, they did.
What do you got for us, buddy?
Got two things I like a lot tonight, Anthony. I like them very, very much, and I don't say that often, but I think these are really, really good bets. Tanner Bibby, Cleveland Guardians, over 5.5 strikeouts. You only had to lay $1.07. I don't get this line. I don't get how this isn't 6.5. He's 130 strikeouts in 115 innings. So he's getting about 1.2 per inning. He's going against the hapless, and I mean right now hapless Detroit Tigers lineup. Their best hitter in their lineup, Riley Green, is out. This is a team right now that cannot hit. They cannot score runs. They strike out in the top third of the league. I expect him to get 6 innings pitched against this hapless lineup. I say he gets 7 or more strikeouts. I like over 6.5. Okay, over 5.5, a joke. Mispriced, love it. First bet, Tanner Bibby, Cleveland Guardians, over 5.5 strikeouts. One of my, again, I love the bet. And another bet, this has been a guy that's having, this is what we talk about all the time, guys. It happens in baseball. Resurgent years, anti-resurgent years. Guys just go through good streaks, bad streaks. Well, Jameson Taillon came up, was the first pick in the draft many, many moons ago. Looked like he was on the path for a really nice career. Not Jack Flaherty, but was on the path for a good career. Had a lot of arm injuries. Signed with the Yankees, gave him a big contract, tore his Tommy John surgery for the second time. Been hard for him to come back. But this year, he's pitched great. His ERA is sub-3. He's been consistent. He's gone over 16 and a half outs, 13 of his 16 starts, 8 in a row, going against the Reds lineup that's bottom 5 in runs scored. I love Jameson Taillon to get over 16 and a half outs. He's been very consistent going against a bad lineup. See no reason. As an innings eater at this point of his career, they're not babying him like over 16 and a half outs.
I love it. That's great stuff. The brain.
Brad, you might be the only person who can appreciate this one. I had a PlayStation 5 parlay going on Saturday. I needed money to afford a PlayStation 5. So I put together a 5-legger with the Phillies over 3.5, Phillies win, Schwarber home run, Harper home run, and Tyler Phillips over 3.5 strikeouts. He went into the ninth inning. He went into the ninth inning with 2 strikeouts and got 2 in the ninth.
Wait, I got to ask you guys a question. Is it okay? I know you're up against it, but it's an important question. I have a Zoom meeting. I got pulled over for speeding here in beautiful Margate, New Jersey. Now I need advice. This is actually important. So you got to get this out. I was going 35 miles an hour on down Atlantic Avenue. A cop going the opposite direction, Dukes of Hazzard style, pulls a Huey like I was Osama bin Laden, screeches his tires. I'm going 35 miles an hour, opposite way of traffic. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, usually they offer you a plea deal. I'm not taking no plea deal. I'm like, this is right for the people. I want this police officer to never do this to anyone again. And I don't care. My insurance goes up. I get a fine. I'm taking it all the way to the thing. Hopefully the judge sees in my way. You don't pull someone over going 35 and a 25, going the opposite way. Am I right?
Fight it, Brad.
Fight for the people.
Yeah.
I'm fighting for the people. I'm going to lose, but I'm fighting for the people. I'll come back tomorrow poor, but it's okay.
No, do it. Yeah. Do it. You just hit another parlay. You'll be fine.
All right, guys. I'll
Good
see you tomorrow.
stuff, brother. All right. Go speeding. Do good.
All right.
There he is, the brain. Brain brought to us by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. Yes. Bronx Bombers in town for the first of a 3-game series. Zach Wheeler goes tonight. That's right, $20 on Schwarber to hit a home run, and the Fightins to win pays $72.
I'm in.
How about that? Look at that. That's right. We want to put our Bet Parks logo up because we are proud to exclusively recommend Bet Parks, the only online casino and sports book that we'll ever recommend. Plus, Bet Parks has your seat at the table. Live dealer for all your favorite classic casino games right in your phone right now. Play live baccarat, live roulette, live blackjack with a live dealer. Plus, play hundreds of exciting online slots. Summer's here, so if you're at the beach, on the boat, the boardwalk, the Poconos, the campground, the lake, or your backyard pool, all right, make downtime your fun time. Plus, Bet Parks is a proud official betting operator of the PGA Tour. Live bet while you watch all your favorite sports. Download the Bet Parks app and enjoy all the action and entertainment from casino right at your fingertips. New users, download the Bet Parks online casino and sportsbook. Right now, get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. You must be 21 in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, Ohio, Michigan. BetParks.com has all the details. Call 1-800-GAMBLER if you have a problem with gambling. You love to play. You play to win. You bet. Bet Parks. There it is. All right. My man, time now to talk about my favorite, TrueMark Financial Credit Union, because I love how the local, I didn't know anything about credit unions, right? New bank, whatever, the whole thing. And I did some due diligence because Kelly Body's the CEO. She's a friend. Talked to me all about how it benefits local, benefits the region.
Yeah. And they give some money back to the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Because when you join a credit union like TrueMark Financial, you become part owner. And that means profits comes back to you instead of going to shareholders. Better rates, lower fees, a better return on savings, and more flexible options with all the same digital tools and tech to make our lives easier. TrueMark has local roots, headquartered in Fort Washington, 24 branches in the Philadelphia area. They serve our community, our people right here at home. Becoming a member of a credit union, so many benefits over being a customer at a bank. Total no-brainer. Head over to truemark.com/PHLY to learn more or to find a branch near you. That's truemark.com/PHLY, federally insured by the NCUA.
Hey, we got some good advice in the chat room. They're telling Brain, ask about the radar calibration. And one guy says, don't admit you're going over 35. Don't admit you're going 35 on the show. Don't admit it, Brad.
That's brilliant.
Here's what you can admit. You can admit that Shady Rays has great sunglasses. And I'm a man who loves sunglasses. I hate going outside when the sun is up without my glasses. It's sunglass season, but for some of us, it's always sunglass seasons. And Shady Rays has got some sunglasses that are built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. And Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company, which is important because I did some research one time, and like 97% of all glasses and sunglasses are made by 2 mega corporations. So Shady Rays is an independent company offering world-class product.
Yeah, there were 60 Minutes in a story.
Dude, it's wild.
Yeah, about that. All these different frames, all of that. They're all by the same
one or two factories
in Italy. Like they have a whole thing on it.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, it's like a monopoly. But Shady Rays is different. They're independent. They've been rated by 300,000 people with 5 stars. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor activities. Hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. And they have a vast array of colors available, so you can grab your favorite team's colors. I like to wear them when I'm driving or I go to a ball game during the day when the sun's out. The clarity you get with them is pretty cool. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, you exchange them for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop, and their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays giving out the best deal this season. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code PHLY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. And try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars or above by 300,000 people. Thanks, Shady Rays.
All right, buddy. There it is. It's the 10 o'clock hour across the Delaware Valley. And we're presented by by Rite Aid.
Rite Aid. Ruthie, Margie.
Ruthie and Margie.
Personalized experience.
So we're actually going to be going to Rite Aid to shoot a video.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're going to do it in South Philly.
Yeah, get my girl.
Right? So we got to get Ruthie and Margie to star in this thing.
We're going to be smoking a little bit, drinking some whiskey at Rite Aid. Ruthie and Margie might like
I don't know about that, but, maybe after.
After they're off their shift.
All right. So we got some football stuff to talk about. And coming up shortly, we're going to go live to the NovaCare complex where Zach Berman will be. Nick Sirianni had his news conference this morning.
Let's get a Nicky update.
The best is you last night on the chat talking about the show.
Yeah.
We're talking about Team Nick.
Team Sirianni, yes. Yeah. He's like Flavor Flav. He's like a hype man now. I love it. He's the Eagles hype man. Give him a big clock, big Eagles clock on the sideline.
Stop. Why are you
What is
torturing
wrong with
this
saying
man?
he's a good hype man? I mean,
because you diminish
he's like
a
the
guy.
CEO. He's the hype man CEO.
You diminish a guy by saying he's just a hype man.
Hey, man.
I mean, come on.
Compare him to Flavor Flav. He's the greatest hype man in the history of the world.
So, Mike Garafolo, I was talking to Mike Garafolo. He was here. NFL Network did a whole big thing about, all camps. They were live. Baldy was the Jets.
Oh.
Mike was here
Of course,
at
Baldy goes
NovaCare.
to New York City.
Yeah,
He's
Baldy.
popping into Manhattan afterwards, some cocktail lounge.
But his camp schedule's wild. He's doing like 18 camps in 20 days. I was like, we went over the schedule. I was with him on Friday, one last week, one day, and we went through. We were watching some film, and he was talking about how all the different camps. He gave me a schedule. I was like, "Are you got to be kidding me?"
It's genius. NFL pays for it. He racks up the miles, and then he probably flies to Egypt for free with a team of friends.
And by the
partners.
way, it's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah,
I loved going to camp. That was one of my favorite assignments. Every year, I used to hit about a dozen camps.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And I loved it. When I was at the Post, there was a thing called the Cheese League.
All right.
And 5 NFL teams were in the cheese league. So the Packers were obviously in Green Bay, right near the complex. The Bears were in Platteville, Wisconsin, which was on the Iowa border.
Okay.
The Saints were in River Falls.
In Wisconsin?
Yes.
Wow.
The Vikings were in Wisconsin.
Wow. Weird.
There was another team, too.
That's a long ways to go for training camp.
Yes. Yeah. I think the Chiefs back in the day were in Wisconsin, too. And I used to drive around, and then like you could do the whole Midwest Cheese League, and then you'd hit the clusters. I did the Cowboys, and they were in Oklahoma. What was that? I forget where it was, but I remember staying in this like roadside like motel. There's no hotels, right? Yeah. And dude, there was a locust storm.
Oh, like biblical?
Dude, a locust storm.
Is that like
it was pouring locusts. It's the best way I can discover.
Yeah, man. Keep me in the city.
Like it was horrible. And I ski bugs, right?
I mean,
like you had
all normal people do.
Like you're driving and I had to put the windshield wipers on.
And you're smashing locusts with the blades?
No, it was imagine pouring rain, but they were bugs.
Where did they come from?
I don't know, but they talk about swarms. Like, I'm thinking, what's this, the end of the world?
Right, yeah,
I was answering people like, oh, no, this happens every 5 years or whatever. And I was
move it. That happens once I'm out of there.
Dude, I pulled the parking lot and like.
Oh, they hitting you?
I pulled the parking lot. Now, I'm a loser. I'm sitting in the car hoping that the thing subsides, right?
like a passing thunderstorm.
You're like 20 minutes. I'm sitting inside the car.
This will be a quick one.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to go in. I have to write my story. So I get my stuff and I just run as fast as I can to the entrance of the hotel. And I get in and I'm just.
But are they like hitting you in the face?
Oh,
do they
sting
when they hit?
And it's terrible. There's a million of them. All right. Let's go
out of there.
to a very calm NovaCare complex in South Philadelphia, where our man Zach Berman does a great job. Cover the birds with Bo Wolf. Zachariah, training camp update, baby.
Anthony, great to see you. Fresh off the practice field. They're just going through stretching now. I came inside so I can speak to you. The big news here today is at right guard. Tyler Steen's going to miss some time. He has an ankle injury. Mekhi Becton. Look for Mekhi Becton to take some work at right guard. So this is a major development for the season because we spoke about right guard being a competition. We spoke about the fact that Tyler Steen was going to have every opportunity to win that job, and Jeff Stoutland wants continuity there. But this is happening organically now that they're going to see Mekhi Becton. It's not like a forced thing. So Steen's injury is going to give the Eagles a look at Becton.
How serious is the injury?
Not something that's long term from what Nick Sirianni said, but it's enough that he's going to miss some days here. So I can't tell you an exact time frame, but look, they're on the practice field today. They're in pads for the first time tomorrow. They have a walkthrough Wednesday. They have a practice Thursday night, and then a walkthrough Friday. So you're looking at really 3 sessions this week, with tomorrow's session the most important one of camp. It's the first day in pads. And so for Steen, someone who has not really been a starter there, who the Eagles want to be a starter there, missing this week is pretty important for him. Like it's very notable that he's not out there.
So let's talk Becton for a second, because Becton, of course, high draft pick. Everybody thought with the Jets that he would solidify that line, had injury issues himself, but has ability. That's the one thing about him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got ability. If he can stay healthy and put it all together. And a guy like Stoutland, I got faith in a guy like Stoutland. As long as the physical piece is there, I think he could flourish.
Well said. A few things there. First off, part of the reason why Becton signed here was because of Stoutland. And sometimes you roll your eyes at that when, it's often money or opportunity that is the reason why someone signs. But Becton was in a situation where, like you mentioned, former top 15 pick with the Jets, was supposed to be their franchise left tackle. Okay, gets moved to the right side. He doesn't really want to do that. He says he's a left tackle only, and then hits free agency for the first time. And he chose Philly after the draft for this specific reason. And he was willing to play guard for this specific reason because the Eagles have Jordan Mailata here, they have Lane Johnson, and he wanted to work under Jeff Stoutland. So it said something about Becton that he was willing to move the guard. He was outspoken with the Jets about being a left tackle only, and you hit it on the head. The talent is there. The size is rare. 6'7", 6'8", 360 pounds. Good movement ability. That's why he was a top 15 pick. When the Jets took him out of Louisville, he was viewed as like your prototypical a left tackle prospect. And I've heard Baldy say it on your show about how from a run blocking perspective, he's rare. He is absolutely rare. And so there are questions about if someone that size can play well at guard, but Jeff Stoutland's history is such that he prefers bigger guards. His prototype is Brandon Brooks. He's looking for a Brandon Brooks type player. And there's a lot of offensive line coaches who will look at Brandon Brooks and say, too big for a guard, but that's actually what Jeff Stoutland likes.
Yeah. No, he loves that stuff. And I don't know. I'm excited to see him. I thought that was a sneaky move getting Becton.
You're absolutely right. And he was on their radar, but they were waiting to see what happened in the draft. Like the Eagles obviously took Quinyon Mitchell, but there was not there were 6 offensive tackles in the first 21 picks, right? Or the first 20 picks. So if that had gone differently, if let's say Troy Faltanu dropped, right? Or someone like that, it's a different situation with the Eagles right now. Maybe the depth chart's less desirable for Becton. The fact that the Eagles didn't take an offensive lineman early, the fact that Becton was signed a few days after the draft shows you this was kind of the Eagles' fallback thing. But it was he is a player they're really intrigued by. Signed him to a 1-year deal. But speaking to Becton in the spring, he would love if this is long term, and he's of the age profile mid-20s where it could be a long term thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right. So it was interesting. I was talking to Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network, and he was in on Saturday. And Mikey was saying, he's like, dude, I'll tell you one thing. Hurts does seem more relaxed. He seems much looser than he did, especially last year. Do you see the same thing? You're around it all the time. Yeah.
Now Mike was able to kind of have him on exclusively, so Mike has good insight there. You're absolutely right. I think it's something. It's somewhat of an initiative, if you will, to try to be looser there. But there's a part of me that says Jalen Hurts is wired the way he is. It's what makes him who he is. So he can be looser, but he's still going to be Jalen. And I'm curious to see kind of how long this approach lasts. You hear it a lot during training camp. I've said it before. It's often dictated by results, right? The intensity, the manner in which he carries himself. When they win, people love it. When they lose, people say he needs to be more open. Jalen said last week he hasn't done anything differently as far as opening himself up to teammates. He says he's just selective about what he shows. But in speaking to other teammates, he has been. And this is something that is an emphasis of his. So even if Jalen's not admitting it, I think it is accurate to say. And I think Garafolo hit it on the head.
So what else did Sirianni say today? Like what's the other than Becton, I know that's the big news, but anything else happening?
Yeah, a few things. First off, I've seen this from talking to players and anecdotally watching it. Conditioning is a major point of emphasis this summer, and Nick admitted as much. He was asked directly, and he said, yeah, it's something that they felt they need to incorporate. That there are different ways of getting it in there, but for them to be a team that populates to the ball on defense, for them to play the way they want on offense, conditioning needs to be paramount. So kind of implicit there is that they thought this needed to be changed from last season. The pads come on tomorrow, so this is the last day of the acclimation period. So that's something to monitor there. I asked Nick specifically about throwing the ball to the backs because I'll be honest, this is the 4th summer covering Nick. For 3 summers, he talks during training camp. It's a talking point. They're going to throw the ball to the backs. They're going to throw the ball to the backs. And then it doesn't materialize during the season. So this is especially relevant this year because part of the reason they say they signed Saquon Barkley, from my understanding, is they want to get the ball to him in the passing game. And speaking to Kellen Moore said the other day that they think it's important to scheme up plays for the backs to get them the ball upfield. So it's not just a safety valve for the in the place of the quarterback, for the quarterback, but it has to be part of it has to be organic within the offense.
Right.
And so speaking to Nick about it, he agreed, and he said it needs to be part of the progression, but it also needs to be something that they deliberately work the ball toward the back. That said, he acknowledged the passing game's still going to go through AJ, Devontae, and Dallas Goedert. So those are your top three. So the running back's going to be fourth there at most, but they brought in Saquon, and I know this. They brought in Saquon to get the ball to him in the passing game as well as the running game. So it will be a disappointment from my perspective if Saquon is not heavily involved in the passing game. And if that is the case, then I think you come to the conclusion that's more of a Jalen Hurts thing, like I said on your show a few weeks ago, as opposed to Kellen Moore or Nick Sirianni. Because Nick Sirianni has been adamant about this for 3 summers, and it's one of these things that in the 4th summer, you have to show me it during the season. We can't talk about it during camp. You have to show me it during the season.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's one of the things that I want to see Jalen do, which is go through his progressions and read it. Like, this is the next step where he's got to read that thing. He's got to look at this offense and realize who needs the ball.
Yeah, and I will say Jalen has been very efficient this summer. It's only been 3 practices, right? So I don't want to get ahead of myself here. But I was there for 5 practices during the spring, and he did not look good in the spring. He was holding on the ball too long. The ball was on the ground too often. The ball is barely on the ground this summer. Jalen knows where he's going with it. AJ and Devontae in particular, right? I mean, both of them. If you were at Saturday's practice, they put on the highlight reel. But Jalen, I can tell you, I've been, I don't want to say surprised, but I thought there was going to be a slower transition into this offense than what we've seen this summer. It's been night and day since the spring.
Hey, Zach, I'm going to be like a broken record grinding on linebackers because it's like a focus of mine and a weakness. Has Nakobe Dean, reports are Zach Bond is out playing him right now, and has Trotter Jr. gotten back on the field, and how's he looked if he has?
Yeah, good questions there. First thing with Nakobe Dean, Zach Bond. Zach Bond's been first up every day. So all 3 practices here, and same thing in the spring. Dean's mixed in. But Zach Bond, he's someone that they targeted first day of free agency. He's someone that they like. Now, I can understand all their talking points about Zach Bond. I don't think this is a particularly good sign. The reason I say that is the New Orleans Saints drafted Zach Bond in the 3rd round. He was there for 4 years. They did not think he was good enough to be an off-ball linebacker at a starting level for them. So now the Eagles bring him in year 5, and they think that he's going to be a better option there, or should be kind of competing with a player they took in the 3rd round, who a year ago was their top off-ball linebacker. I don't think that's a good sign. We'll see what happens with, I'm going into this with an open mind. I'll see what Bond does. Bond does have more size, has good athletic traits. Frankly, when they signed Zach Bond, I thought he was going to be more of an edge rusher. I think he thought he was going to be more of an edge rusher. I kept hearing the Andrew Van Ginkel comparisons, but he's been an off-ball guy so far. Nakobe Dean's been mixing in, but it's been Devin White as the top backer, and then Zach Bond, first one up next to Devin White. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., back on the field. He left on a cart after the 2nd practice, but that was cramps. It was not like an injury. So he was back out there Saturday, and he's not on the injury report as of now.
Yeah, I could see Trot Jr. being a little bit more of a, I don't want to say project, but he's going to I put him over here for now. If you think about Vic, right? Does Fangio, a veteran guy, like what's his trust? Like what's his MO as far as you look at that linebacker spot? You like where do you think he's leaning?
Yeah, good questions there, because the reality is this: Vic Fangio doesn't have the same type of investment in Nakobe Dean as the organization does, right? Howie Roseman is invested in Nakobe Dean being successful, but Vic Fangio wasn't here to draft him. Vic Fangio hasn't coached him before. And last year, the Eagles deliberately did not bring in much competition for Nakobe Dean because they wanted him to be the guy after TJ Edwards and Kaiser White left. And he was on the path to being that. Then he gets hurt week 1 against New England. But if you remember, they did not bring in Zach Cunningham and Miles Jack until early August, a week plus in the training camp. I think Vic Fangio, first off, he liked Zach Bond. It's not a coincidence that whenever he's asked about linebackers, the first name he's mentioned is Zach Bond. Devin White is signed to be the top guy. Devin White is the top guy. Devin White has just tools that are hard to find. That's why he was the number 5 pick in the draft. Had a bad year last year in Tampa. The Eagles are hoping that was more contract related. He wanted a new deal. They didn't give him a long-term deal, and they're hoping that he can rebound this year. The one thing I'll say about Trout Jr. is I agree with you. Fans need to kind of understand this is a 5th-round pick. Expectations should be realistic, right? But the pathway to playing time, it's not as if he needs to jump really accomplished players to get there. Right. Zach Bond, like we said, he has to prove himself. Nakobe Dean, I like Nakobe Dean. I know Howie likes Nakobe Dean, but Nakobe Dean needs to show that he can play. Those are really the only guys ahead of Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I suppose Oren Burks, who is a veteran, but Oren Burks is more of a depth special teams guy. Yeah. So, look, it's not out of the question that when we have this conversation on your show in week 10, week 12, week 14, that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is out there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Hey, Zach, I heard Fangio this weekend had said something like, I'll play rookies provided they're good enough. Was he talking about Kenyon Mitchell there? Like, who was he referring to in that statement you think you're trying to send a message to?
Yeah, well, so he was asked specifically about his philosophy of playing rookies. And he acknowledged that he's had no issues playing rookies in the past, but this is not a situation like when he was in Carolina and Houston as expansion teams where you kind of force those guys on the field. But he said if those guys earn it, they're going to play. So specifically Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Now, what's interesting about Quinyon Mitchell is he's been taking more work in the slot than I expected when they drafted him. Part of that is because Isaiah Rodgers and Keely Ringo, or I should kind of invert that. Keely Ringo and Isaiah Rodgers have looked good this summer. And they want Quinyon Mitchell to play. There might be a pathway to playing in the slot. Part of that is Cooper DeJean's hurt right now. I thought going into the summer, Cooper DeJean was going to be their top guy in the slot. He's missing a few weeks here, can't be out there. Quinyon Mitchell does have experience playing inside and outside in college. I still think Quinyon's ultimately going to be the starter on the outside, but from kind of everything I'm hearing, keep Keely Ringo's name in mind. I think Keely Ringo is a guy that they're really impressed with right now. They like him, and look, this is a guy who was a 5-star recruit, started basically all his entire time at Georgia. He was eligible for 2 years. His entire time at Georgia, 6'2", 207, 4.38 40. He's younger than Quinyon Mitchell, so I still think Quinyon Mitchell is going to be the top cornerback eventually here. But and when I say eventually, post-Slay, so next season. But it wouldn't surprise me if week 1 in Brazil, it's Keely Ringo out there.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
All right, 2 o'clock today, Zach and Bo Birds. Make sure you're watching, you're listening, you're following along. You guys are killing it, buddy.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Talk to you guys soon.
There he is, Zach Berman. Hey, don't forget the Parks Casino. Listen, we tell you all the time about the BetParks app, but the casino in Ben Salem, wow, you want to have some fun. My Lord, weekend. I mean, this weekend coming up during the week, make summertime fun time at Parks Casino, the #1 casino in Pennsylvania. This is how you win. You have the happy hour at the Liberty Bell Garden with seating inside, outside, the live entertainment at the 360 Lounge. You can dine in. One of the award-winning restaurants are amazing. The Parks Grill Steakhouse, Liberty Bell Gastropub, delicious sushi hand-rolled at Bamboo Noodle House, 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 live table games. All right, all roads lead to Parks Casino. You have big-time headliners that are coming to the 1,500-seat Excite Center at Parks Casino. Tiffany Haddish is September 27th. J.B. Smoove, September 20th. They have all kinds of great stuff. You got to check it out, from the food to the entertainment to all the action, poker room, sports book, you name it. It's a blast. Got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parks Casino. This is how you win. All right. One of the things I want you to know, remember, all the stuff we are at PHLY, with all of our shows daily, Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, Weekly Union. We got it all. Make sure you subscribe, become a diehard. You get all the insiders, all the written stuff as well. We got you covered for the 4 for 4 fan every
Best
day.
coverage in the city.
Right? Every day. Well, I was really anxious for our next guest because
Stoked for this.
Nobody can give you insight like he can. First of all, I mean, he's done every job in the game. All right?
Yes, he has.
But, I mean, he was a terrific GM, and he went at it. The deadline, I really
He's
want to
aggressive. I like it.
I love him. He was always go in strong.
Yeah.
He is, of course, the great Rubén Amaro. Rube!
What's happening, brother? How you doing, man? Great to see you.
Looking good, pal.
He sounds good. He looks good.
He looks like
That
a
headset
he's a
coming-
movie star.
Wow.
He's a movie star. Before we get into the moves they made, I'm dying to just pick your brain to take us in to your job at the deadline. Like, what was that like? And, you presided over a World Series team. You were the architect of that, of a team that was in major contention. So when it came down to it, I guess you could start with, what was it like for how did you identify it? And then what was it like the days leading up to the deadline?
Well, it's one of the most exciting times and the most exciting parts of my job. When you take over a team that just won the World Series, it puts a little heat on you because, very rarely, when was the last time you saw a GM take over a team after it won a World Series? It doesn't happen very often. So my whole goal was to try to continue that window, continue that, when I took over, it's like, okay, we're going to do everything we can to win. So we ended up having to identify some of the pieces that were necessary to try to get there. And we really, while we had a really great team in 2008, our pitching really wasn't all that fantastic. No. And the reality of it is, I just went blacked out. The reality of it is that, truly we are, we needed starting pitching, and there was no secret that I was hell bent on trying to get Roy Halladay, and that was one of the most important pieces for me, and the guy that was probably going to be most available. I'm not sure what's happening with my lighting right now, but it's messed up. Anyway, point is, hopefully you guys can see me okay. But the reality of it was that we really felt like we needed someone towards the top of the rotation, and we pushed very, very hard. I love the fact that during that time, when you are in this space, you can bring in every one of your top lieutenants and the people that are involved in all of the departments, because you want to get information from the international scouts. You want to get information from your player development people. Obviously, you want a lot of information from your pro scouting staff, as well as, other people that are advising you, the Pat Gillicks of the world, the Charlie Kerfelds of the world. So many people, even Ed Wade was involved. I think it was really important for me to be able to try to add on as much as possible, because, listen, we were in a mode to win. We were in a window to win. And I'd like to know information about everybody, literally everybody. And so, it was important for me to have contacts in the clubhouse, in the clubhouse managers and the people who are, running the opposing, Kevin Steinauer, who was running the, our visiting clubhouse, trainers, just to get some information about what these guys were about, what these players that we were interested in were about, and how they could help us. And I got to tell you, it was an exciting time, and I loved every minute of it, man. It was stressful, no doubt about it. It was stressful, and much more fun when you're buying than when you are selling.
So when you got Cliff Lee, when did you zone in that he was our guy? And and then what was the negotiation like?
So I can get back to, I can't get and bring back every single little piece of it, but I do remember sort of parallel negotiating with the Toronto Blue Jays, JP Ricciardi, and and Mark Shapiro at the time, because my deal was this. I needed to try to get a guy, and I didn't want to like sell the entire farm unless I knew that I was going to be able to keep that player for a longer period of time. Oop, I went blacked out again. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can see what's happening with my
You're good now. You just flashed. It looked like you were a ghost, and then you came back.
Swarm of locusts.
They're doing something in our electrical system here. Anyway, so we were going on parallel paths, and it was and I can understand why JP Ricciardi wanted our two best. He wanted our two best. At the time, it was Don Brown, who was like the number one prospect in baseball, and Drabek, who was our number one starting prospect. And I really felt like, I didn't feel comfortable dealing those two guys. So we ended up going with a different type of a package that was, for guys that were fairly close to the major leagues. I think it was Marson, Carrasco. No, Jason Donald, Carrasco, Marson, who was a catcher. And then there was another kid down below, and I'm brain locking on his name right now, but he was probably our best pitching prospect beyond down below, and he ended up getting hurt.
It was the kid. He had a funky delivery. He was like 19. He threw really good.
He was 1,000 miles an hour. He had a great arm, but he ended up breaking. And so I felt like those guys were not higher ceiling guys. For me, I thought that they could probably be, decent major league players. And Carrasco was a guy that I just wasn't sure at the time. I thought he was good. He had great stuff. I just wasn't sure whether he was going to end up being, a real quality major leaguer. And he ended up being one, but not till for like 4 or 5 years down the road. It took him a long time to sort of continue to develop. And so, listen, you got to give up some talent to get talent. And Cliff Lee ended up being a super acquisition for us. And he did everything we wanted him to do. I mean, same sort of thing that happened with Roy Oswalt the following year. Hunter Pence. I mean, all those guys, we targeted guys that we knew that were going to have success, or at least had a real good chance at having success at the major league level. And that was the goal at the time.
Was that like your idea? Like you go into it, you have your meetings, you have your organizational meeting. You go, listen, we hear the guys that are available. I really like this one. And you get all your info from everybody chimes in. So you're leading this meeting, and your guys that you covet.
Yeah, I mean, we basically, just like in the draft room, we sort of line up, all of our guys get together and we sort of line up, okay, who are the guys that we covet the most? When we take all their information and we sort of line them up. Here's the pitchers that we really like. Here's the position players that we really like that might be available. And then we sort of try to work through it. And it's pretty volatile. It can move, because that's one of the reasons why we had all our pro scouts on all of these. We had pro scouts on our show. Mike Hondo, who was our pro scouting director, still is, did a phenomenal job of fanning our guys out and placing them and making sure that we saw every one of their starts. So we saw starts from every top of the line starter that might be available. We saw every single start for 5 or 6 starts. And so we wanted some length and breadth of the information so that we knew, once we started really dealing with it, who's the guy to target. And our guys did a heck of a job of sort of identifying the right guys. Cliff Lee was a guy that got sent down after he won the Cy Young Award. He got sent down. And then he came back. He got sent down to AAA. It doesn't happen very often. He bounced back and started pitching, his ass off. And then, leading up to that time, he was really pitching well, and you saw what he did. I don't know what he went, 7-1, 7-0.
He was unhittable. He had that moment. He worked fast. He was unhittable. That was incredible. I can only imagine. It's such a fun thing, high stress, but guy like you, you're such a competitor that you're on the phone constantly. You got your thing. I mean, that's like being in the stock exchange in a sense.
Yeah, and and you have like you have your other lieutenants, your assistant GMs, your Scott Profrock and Benny
Yeah.
Looper and others at the time who are making phone calls and getting information and
Yeah.
gathering stuff and talking to agents and talking to all
Yeah.
types of people just to find out personalities and to find out different information about stuff. It really is all hands on deck, which is the really cool thing about it. And I think that also really helps with like I don't know, I guess the esprit de corps in your organization. Like when you're bringing people in that feel like they're a part of making this decision. Nowadays, I don't think that's happening. You're not getting on the phone. I was on conference calls like, you know, all day long talking to these guys. And I don't think these guys do this anymore. I think there's like two or three guys sitting in an office, they're reading a report, they're getting an analytics dude in there, and they say, this, that, and the other, and then they make a decision. And I think the other thing that happens is they're so scrutinized. I mean, the deals are so scrutinized nowadays that people don't want to be beaten on a trade. Well, guess
Right.
what? I don't give a
Right.
crap whether I'm beaten on the trade. I'm trying to do what's best for my organization, what I feel is the right value for my organization. Whether I'm buying or selling, I understand. Like you got to give up talent to get talent. You got to try to get talent from the talent that you have or in your circumstance. And to me, it's become so public in this day and age
Uh-huh.
that like, who cares whether you win the trade or not? Is this the right thing for my team at
Right.
this time? And is this going to help me get to where I need to be, whether it's, rebuilding or whether it's taking it to the next level and trying to win a World Series?
Yeah, you're right. It's so public. It's nuts. I mean, back then when I was covering ball and you were talking to you and the whole thing, like, you guys kept everything kind of under wraps. Now it's just so out there and everything's so in your face with social media. So what do you think? Carlos Estevez, you get a right-handed leverage guy to go with Hoffman, to go with Kerkering. You got another back end. Your lefties are set up between Strom and Alvarado. So do you like that move?
I love it. I really do. And I will tell you this, to me, you try to get the right pieces. And I believed all along that even though that they don't, and they can operate like this, that they don't have a closer, the world becomes so much easier for Rob Thompson when he knows there's a guy in the ninth inning and he can set everybody up prior to that. Now, in these past couple of years, since we have not had a bona fide closer, he's done a nice job of like sliding guys into the right pockets. He calls them pockets, like putting them in the right space when they're going well. Alvarado's been struggling a little bit. There's no question about it. He's got great stuff. I think he'll bounce back fine. Soto has improved, and they're trying to push him back a little bit further. Strom's been outstanding. Hoffman's been like a miracle. He's been ridiculous.
Godsend. Yeah.
But again, do you trust him to be the every time ninth inning guy? I'm just not sure. The role that he's played, he's been fantastic, and sometimes you just want to leave that guy in that role. And if he's pitching great in the ninth at times and great in the eighth at times, then bounce him around. But to get a guy like Estevez who has closed games, now he may not necessarily be the closer, but he is an option as the closer. And I think that that's a really big deal. I think that they needed another person to trust. I do believe that they have a lot of confidence in a guy like Kerkering. But Kerkering, again, he's a two-pitch pitcher who has not established his fastball. And if he doesn't establish his fastball, then that slider, sweeper, whatever you want to call it, it becomes a very hittable pitch because the guys will go for it every time because they know, you know what, he's not throwing his fastball for first strike. And so as a hitter, if you can eliminate a pitch, I don't care how good that pitch is, unless it's Dave Steve's slider that no one can ever touch. It just doesn't happen. So my feeling is that it's so important. Right now, they're operating in a micro situation because they're going to be in the playoffs. Okay, they can collapse and they'll still make this playoffs. And so Dave Dombrowski is looking for the guys that will help him win a World Series. It's a really micro vision of what he needs. And what you need, all you got to do is look at Houston a couple of years back. The reason why they won is because when the ball was handed off to the bullpen, the game was over. OVER. And when you get people who can get the outs that are necessary in the last 9 outs of a game in a playoff setting, then you got a real chance to win a World Series. And that's where Dave Dombrowski was working on a micro vision of what he needs to win the World Series. And Estevez is one of those guys that's going to help him do that, I think.
Yeah, and look, you got a guy like Austin Hayes that mashes lefties, so you needed that right-handed bat. So that kind of gives you a little bit more balance because he can do that for you against left-handed pitching.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, listen, we again, Pat Gillick was a master of like getting little pieces, right? You think about what what we did when we were leading up to
Jenkins.
We had Jenkins. We had Matt. Oh my God, I'm thinking of Matt Strom, our pinch hitter who hit the home run against Broxton. Matt Stairs. To me, we needed those pieces. We needed a bat that could hit a home run off the bench because at that time pitchers hit. We needed somebody to come off the bench and hit a home run. He did that job. We needed certain pieces that were going to take us to the next one. We needed to have a fifth starter. So it was, Blanton. And so we got a fifth starter out of the deal. So we were in a position to get really micro with our needs. And I think that's exactly where you are with Dave Dombrowski's ball club. This club is the most complete team in baseball. No question in my mind. The Philadelphia Phillies are the most complete and talented team. Will they play to their talent during the playoffs? Who knows? They didn't necessarily do it last year because they were exploited by, the Arizona Diamondbacks. They did a good job. But as far as talent, this is the best team in baseball. There's no question in my mind. If you can add a little piece here and there to help them get over the top and to get that big base hit or to get those 2 outs in the game that are crucial, then that's what the goal is. And I think that Dave Dombrowski did a great job. I think Austin Hayes, he handles left-handers so well. He's going to hit a big home run off a lefty or a big double or a big base hit, and he's going to make a great play in the outfield because he's going to do something to help this team win and to win a crucial game, I believe. Or at least you have a guy who can do that and has done it. It's not like you're betting on the come here. These are guys who have actually done it. And so that's the most important piece of this. And I think that Dave's done a really, really nice job. And who knows, he might do more. I mean, they're not the beauty of what they've done is they haven't used a lot of their the capital that they have as far as prospects are concerned. They've used some. Clausen, pretty damn good arm. The other left-hander, pretty good arm. But they're an A-ball. And they're big boys. They're still here. They're still Philadelphia Phillies.
Hey, Ruben, VG here. When the deadline's happening and you're a buyer, when you're dealing with a team, do you have like moles giving you intel on the inside of what other teams are offering? Are you aware of what you're up against as far as when you make a package offer?
Yeah, you're really not. That's one of the most difficult things. I mean, you have to sort of, you want to try to get as much information and you want to try to screw things up for the other guy by getting involved in other things. I mean, there's sort of an art to doing that. And I think that's part of it. I used to say I was in on everybody so that people would be looking left and right. I used to try to make sort of that public. But the reality of it is that you don't really know what other teams are offering. I mean, you basically have to work in your own vacuum and you can just give up what you think is the value of the player and maybe sometimes have it hurt a little bit more because you have to give up a little bit too much just to get the guy. I mean, I used to think about this in the draft. Like when there wasn't slotting and a guy was available in the draft, I mean, I used to say, like, listen, if we have to overpay to get that guy in the 10th pick instead of him going in the 3rd pick, then let's do it. Or if he's saying that he's only going to sign for $1.2 million and we have a budget for $800,000, well, if we really like the guy, let's go get him and pay him. Let's get the guy. Otherwise, we don't get the guy.
Right.
It's not my money.
I think the beauty of it, right? Like when you have a guy like Middleton, I mean, God, how much easier it is. You know, I mean, it wasn't always like that. The constraints. I mean, you know, the way the Phillies did operate pre your run, it was a little bit different, a lot more frugal. Ed Wade had some constraints that he had to work under.
It was tough for Ed Wade. Ed Wade had a lot of constraints, and I think he did a phenomenal job.
Yes.
People don't give Ed.
He's underrated. He was an underrated guy.
Well, let's think about what he did. He sort of was the foundation. Oh, there I go again. He was the foundation of the Houston Astros team.
Yeah.
He was the foundation of the Philadelphia Phillies team. He basically created a foundation for both those teams to make their runs.
Yeah.
And Houston's been doing well for 7 or 8 years. I mean, a lot of those players, you know, they started off with Ed Wade. I mean, you know, the second baseman, I think at some point Bregman might have been drafted by them. I'm not sure, but a lot of the foundational pieces started with Ed Wade. So I just think that, you know, it's time and circumstance. I benefited from Ed and from Pat, and try to keep and hold on to that maybe a little bit too long, just because our guys were pretty darn good players.
Yeah.
At some point, they started to get a little older and less effective, and also there was a lot of injury that was associated with our downfall. But again, if you really want a player, you have to sort of work in your own vacuum and say, listen, this is what I'm willing to give up for this guy. And people are out there saying, well, you know, you gave up too much, a 5 and a 6 prospect. Well, guess what, dude? He's a prospect playing in Able. Like, come on. If the guy is playing, or you think he's going to be in the big leagues next year, and helping your team win a World Series next year, then I can understand it. And then you have to sort of evaluate the value of that player. Like there's the Aiden Millers and the Crawfords of the world who are legitimate major league players at some point. These guys are really good. And you start talking about Lance Painter, and he's going to be a legitimate when he's healthy and back. He is going to be in the middle of a rotation somewhere at least. So you have to have, I've always felt like you had better do a really, really good job of evaluating your own players first and understanding what they are going to be prior to making those moves, and then you just, you know, and then you make your decisions accordingly.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, you are the best, man. You not only were an incredible baseball man doing every job and a great GM, but the way you articulate it and tell the story and really analyze the game is really impressive. What's the podcast? So you and Todd and Jim Salisbury, Todd Zalecki, have a great podcast. How can people find it?
Yeah, we're sort of everywhere now. We've joined now with Foul Territory, who are now sort of umbrellaed a bunch of other baseball podcasts, one in Chicago, one in LA. There's a bunch of them that they've sort of taken over, but it's the Phillies show. And we're doing probably about 3 podcasts a week. I think it's gone really, really well. We've really enjoyed it. Foul Territory has sort of taken over for us, and we and it's really just people who love baseball. I can tell you, Jim Salisbury, I mean, he is a true baseball fan, not only a great writer and a great baseball thinker, but he loves baseball. And Todd Zalecki, I've known Todd for so long. He, again, another very, very great writer who also loves the game, lives for the game, and just to be able to BS about baseball and talk about the Phillies and tell our stories, you know, from soup to nuts. You know, we've got a lot of food issues too that we talk about. Jimmy loves his burgers, so we talk a lot about that too. But it's been a real great deal of fun, and I appreciate you mentioning it.
I love it.
It's been fun for me,
and I love you guys. You're the best, buddy. Thanks as always, brother. Talk soon.
Anytime, man. Talk with you anytime, man. And I apologize for the last time you reached out, but I somehow I somehow, screwed that up.
Dude.
But I had to come on anytime, and best of luck with your work here.
Thanks, brother. Love you, buddy. There he is, the great Rubén Amaro. How about that? That's fantastic. We're going to come right back because it's National Chicken Wing Day.
Hey, now.
Buffalo Wild Wings. My man Elvis is over here, right? So it's National Chicken. He's got these hot wings from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to.
You and Versace going to eat them?
Hey, maybe you too. If I can strong arm you.
Get out of here.
All right. So don't go anywhere. Coming right back with a little Buffalo Wild Wings.
Love it.
National Chicken Wing Day. It's National Chicken Wing Day today. All right. So to celebrate, our friends from Buffalo Wild Wings are coming in with high heat in honor of the trade deadline. My man Elvis from Buffalo Wild Wings joins us. Now, you bring in these high heat wings.
Yes, sir.
That are among, just speaking right into this mic. And these things, I smell them and I can smell the heat. Oh, VJ couldn't take the smell of them.
No, man.
These things are
You
outrageous.
signing waivers and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, I got to sign my life away. What happens if, God forbid, I melt from the heat? My God, Aunt Moss. Well, Tam wouldn't mind, but Aunt
Now,
Moss.
you're good with hot. You're good with spicy.
I like heat.
All right.
I'm a hot guy.
All right.
But I'm
You are
not
a
going
hot
to
guy.
lie. These things are scary.
Yeah, I can
What
smell it over
is
here.
this? What is this? Now tell us about it.
Okay.
Into the mic,
Well,
Elvis.
So the Blazing Challenge started when Buffalo Wild Wings started, when we were Buffalo Wild Wings and WEC years ago. And it was an attempt to eat the 10 of the hottest wings on the planet for a prize and your shot at glory. And then they would have like the wall, very similarly when you see like diners, drive-ins, and dives,
Yes.
or Man versus Food. Like, hey, if you can manage to do this, then you'll be forever endured on the wall of fame or the wall of shame. And they just keep getting hotter. I tried the Blazing Challenge one time, and I got to be honest, I'm not going to try again.
So what is the challenge? Is you have to eat all 8 wings?
Well, yeah, 8 wings in under 10 minutes, and then you have to wait 5 minutes to consume any beverage, and then you get a bottle of milk from Shamrock Farms. Jamie and the gang from Liquid Death sometimes give me the water on the side, and then we get a local beer. So they sit in front of you, and then Hank the Buffalo comes out, and he tries to encourage you not to finish.
Right.
Because he's telling you to tap out. He does it.
Yeah.
And then when people finish, then they sit there and I watch them sweat and I feel
I
terrible.
gotta say, what you have stopped like sniffling, like your allergies have opened up with the.
It could be the healer.
Yeah,
The heat.
you sound great.
Oh. Now, let me ask you a question, because now I was always told that, because I like heat, all right? I back in the day, I was once in Costa Rica, and a guy came out with a trunk full of hot peppers. Right. Well, first,
Peppers out of a trunk.
First I went, video corroborate this. I went, these peppers aren't that hot. I thought you guys had hot peppers. And the guy went, I'll be right back. So he goes back to the kitchen, gets another thing of hot peppers. And he's like looking at me, and he's like, I'm like, it's all right. So then he went to the trunk to get, and those things were hot. Like, those were nasty.
Yeah.
These things, I bet, are nasty. Now, my heat game, I don't know. I could never do 8. Like, that's not even.
Yeah.
I knocked it down to 5. It's just too much. It's really aggressive. And I had one of my friends one time decide he wanted to put them on the boneless wings, which has breading on them.
Oh my
so the
God.
sauce
It just took a bite.
Oh my God.
You feeling heat already?
immediately.
Yeah.
Dude,
There's no.
it's like lighting a match in your mouth.
Do not rub your eyes.
No.
No. Or anything else for that matter. Just public service announcement.
How's it going?
They're hot. Yeah, they're hot.
Is it building? Like does the heat intensify as you're sitting there?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's hot and it goes down. Like, I feel like I can breathe fire. Like, it's Game of Thrones. All right. I'm the dragon. They're tasty, though.
Yeah. Kate Red says, "Wash your hands before going to the bathroom."
Definitely.
The Hot Johnson's never good.
No, it's not.
You don't want the Hot Johnson.
No.
My God. That thing is hot. I took one. That was a healthy bite.
Yeah.
It was a good bite. It was firm. Your allergies are gone forever now. Aren't you happy?
Oh, my God. I'll eat the whole thing for that matter.
Allegra, no more. You're good.
I got to tell you, it's a tasty wing. I feel the heat bubbling. And it gives me the hiccups. But, man.
Yeah, and there's 22 sauces always on the menu, from very, very easygoing, mild stuff, dry rubs, all the way up to these guys. And then quarterly, we introduce 2 new sauces every time. So next month coming up, we've got a buffalo bacon. And we're bringing...
Wow. Buffalo bacon. Hold on. That sounds delicious. By the way, we want to thank you guys, all right? And make sure you become a diehard, all right?
Yeah.
That's going to be key. The diehard is everything. Thanks. All right. So this thing is just awesome. Now, What specials you like? Give me the sauces. You got the bacon one coming out.
Yep,
That's got to be
September
good.
1st. Yep, that's here. I brought that for the staff. You guys can try that after the show on me.
Wow.
I snuck it out. I smuggled it out of there. And then it is National Chicken Wing Day. So if you download the Buffalo Wild Wings app on your phone, you get 6 free wings with any $10 purchase today, bone in or bone out. Just our cool way of saying what's up. And look for our brand new commercial with Anthony and Jason Kelsey and Hank the Buffalo, because he's going to regale the Friday Night Lights of when he was a great football player, even though he's even though he's a Buffalo. But that's okay. We're going to let him think whatever he wants.
I love it. Yeah.
I'm eating the luau one here. A little sweetness to it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I dig it.
Sounds good. I'm going to go one more bite on the heat.
And then if I could real quick, I just want to give a huge shout out to my team in Morristown, New Jersey, who got up early this morning. Brianna Valentine was our chef du jour. And
Way to go, Brianna.
And Samantha Hall and Eric Razzo are my 2 great managers over there that agreed to come in way too early on a Monday morning to make this happen for us.
Wow.
Nice crisp to the wings, too. I like the crisp to them.
No, the wings are delicious. I'm ridiculous. The wings are delicious. Now, the heat's got me I'm like high off the heat.
Oh, yeah. You're feeling high. I like it.
I love this.
High heat.
So, Buffalo Wild Wings is awesome. Given the locations around the area, I know there's one coming soon, too.
Yep. It's the worst kept secret in casual dining. We'll be right here on Delaware Avenue. And our goal is to be open there in time for the All-Star Game and the World Cup and everything like that. But you can visit us in Morristown, Sicklerville, King of Prussia, Phoenixville, Glen Mills, on your way to the shore, which I absolutely love this time of year. You got Mays Landing and Millville.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The Millville's cool, too.
And Roosevelt Boulevard is probably closest to us.
Yeah, give a yo to the Northeast.
Northeast.
But, pop in, see anybody anytime. Let them know you're a fan of Anthony. Let them know you're a fan of me.
Who's not a fan of Elvis? Come on, man. This heat.
You feeling good now?
I actually feel oddly, it has helped my allergies.
Yeah,
I
dude,
swear to God.
you sound great.
It's unbelievable. Is that possible?
I think it's possible.
Does that make sense? Jules, you know this stuff. Wow, man. I actually feel, this is crazy. I've been dying. Like, my allergies have been dying. I sneeze and can't breathe. Nothing. I got everything. Dude, the wings have cured me. It's unbelievable.
It's like lion's blood.
Wow, they're freaking hot.
Dragon fire.
Like, I swear to God, I feel like it is the dragon.
Yeah,
this is pretty cool.
Yeah, we did the crossover when I reconnected with Ant and VG. We've known each other for years. We sponsored Johnny Goodtimes' Ultimate Frisbee team for one day, and we turned their name into the Philadelphia Hotbirds. And at halftime, we had a 5 Blazing Wing challenge at halftime on the AstroTurf at Newman. And it was 125 degrees on that field, and those 5 poor souls ate those 5 wings right off of my friend Austin and Mike's food truck, Tub of Tots. They made them hot, like fresh, like they came out blazing hot, and then tossed them. And then,
so how many did they eat?
Each one got 5, and they had to finish in 5 minutes.
Did they succeed?
2 did, and 3 tapped out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way I could do it in that short period of time.
No.
It's like your mouth feels like it's on fire.
Our man, Big Farts Jones, he said he ordered 10 mild one time, and they thought he said wild.
That's
and his butt hasn't been the same since 2019. Farts, he's on fire today.
MVP of the show today. Yeah. Farts Jones.
MVP Farts Jones.
Wow, man. I got to tell you all this. This is fun. Buffalo Wild Wings is great.
Good wing.
So real quick about the heat. I was told that cream, like dairy-based, will help put a fire out.
Yes.
That water sometimes exacerbates it.
Water and beer are not your friend. Everyone thinks like I'm going to bang down these wings and I'm going to rip a Miller Lite. No, because the carbonation in the beer opens up your taste buds and makes it even worse.
Wow.
So then you're putting it down there, and then you're making yourself a nice little. Imagine your belly as a crock pot. You're throwing everything in there. No, it's not a good play.
So the milk or the dairy
coats
So they say actually to eat cheese.
Cheese is that's why blue cheese is so popular with wings.
Okay, because it coats the fat, coats your tongue, which puts the heat out.
Right.
Oh, but that all right. Good, that's good knowledge.
Yeah, good
But,
wing
you know,
knowledge.
You think about it, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna crush a beer right now. These are hot. Bang, bad idea, man. And then you think, I'm going to drink another beer. It's not going to get any better. It's going to take some time.
Elvis, man, this is outrageous, dude. Incredible.
National Chicken Wing Day.
Love it. So Jason Kelsey is going to be coming out with a commercial.
Yes.
In National One coming up for football.
Yes.
So, and I have a little bit part in it.
They filmed a lot of that, a lot of the buffalo in our King of Prussia, our flagship store in King of Prussia Mall, the court at King of Prussia,
right?
Whatever they call it now. But yeah, so they filmed it there, and I got to tell you, even though they do a lot of CGI stuff with the buffalo, they bring the buffalo, and he's real. He's
the real buffalo.
He's gigantic, and he's a monster, and yeah.
Wait, it's an actual buffalo, not a guy in a suit?
No. The real buffalo's a buffalo. No, it's a bison.
It's Hank.
It's a real buffalo.
It's Hank.
That's outrageous. Colorado buffaloes. Oh, my God. Anyway, I got to tell you, what a great spot, right? Awesome. It's an awesome sports bar. Fantastic. Great food. Elvis, great job, dude.
Thank you, brother.
He's like a witch doctor of allergies.
Dude, I'm going to keep this in the building. This way in the morning, I got to do a shot of it.
Just get the sauce in a pot on your stove at home. So it's like
I brought you like three gallons of it. You'll be good forever.
I wonder if
it's bathing in it.
If I tell you, I swear to you, it's helped. Like
your eyes look better.
My eyes feel better. Off the heat.
I put all.
So I'm gonna put my fingers in them, then I'll be.
Yeah, I put all of our sauces in Bloody Marys, man. I'll tell you what.
That's gotta be delicious.
Oh yeah, I goof around. I make different things. You know, all my years of bartending, and man. You can make a really great Bloody Mary with that.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, I'm down. Maybe I'll have that for before the show every day. I'll do a bloody with the heat. That'll cure me, man.
It would be a corpse reviver. Like you'd be dead. You're like, I'm awake again. I'm good.
Yeah, I gotta love it. All right, National Chicken Wing Day. Happy National Chicken Wing Day. Great stuff, Elvis.
Thank you guys very much for your time. Enjoy the wings.
Great stuff.
Download the app. 6 free wings. Any of my stores all day today till close. And let's go sports bar.
Let's go sports bar. I like it. I love it. VG, great stuff as always.
Yeah.
Jules killed it as our producer.
Always.
And Versace.
One day left with Versace. Tomorrow's it. He's leaving.
Yo, you got to come hang with us on the set. All right, Versace. All right, you going to bring the robe?
Yeah, bring the robe tomorrow.
Bring your $500 Versace robe. Now you got your nickname. All right? You can wear it on the set. That's going to do it for us, everybody. Have a great day, man. We love you guys. All right? Enjoy National Chicken Wing Day, and we'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.